So what's up? What it do, Black Boy Finance Crew? This is what we finna get into. Like promised, you know them student loans is coming around the corner, so we gonna get into some ways that you can save money. So now, like I said last video, Biden and the crew, they've been doing a lot of work on the back end, especially when it comes to these repayment plans. We might not have gotten that $10,000, $20,000 of student loan forgiveness that we was looking for, but the reworking of these repayment plans is huge. They like to come up with terminology that kind of fits, what they're trying to do. So this one is called a SAVE repayment plan, save in on a valuable education. Okay, whatever. Either way, they're calling this the most affordable repayment plan ever. It should cut your payments in half and save you thousands of dollars. We're gonna get into this. We're gonna figure out who's eligible, how all of this works, how this is better than before, and how you can sign up. Now, before I hop into it, of course, drop a like on the video. Don't forget to subscribe, join the Black Boy Finance Crew, and leave a comment if this is helpful at the end. Now, I thought I would start with who's eligible for this new repayment plan. It doesn't really make any sense for you to even keep getting into this if you're already excluded, right? Now, being that this is coming from the federal government, first criteria is you gotta have federal student loans. That could be undergrad or graduate. Now, if you just have undergraduate student loans, you're eligible to have a lower payment than graduate borrowers, right? One thing they've done with this plan is they've slashed it from the typical 10% of your discretionary income to 5% of it. That's where the max payment would be. So let's say you have undergraduate loans and your discretionary income is $500. The max payment you would have is 5% of the 500. So 5% of the 500 is $25, so you would pay that each month. Versus if you have graduate loans, you'd have to pay 10% of that, double that 25, that's $50 a month. And now if you have both graduate and undergrad, what they're gonna do is they're gonna take the weighted average based on the initial balance, the principal of those student loans. So it's gonna be a little bit of math in there, but you'll come out somewhere between 5% and 10%, more likely around the 6 to 8% mark. Now, just because you are eligible for this student loan repayment plan doesn't necessarily mean it's what's best for you. But I'm gonna get into that a little bit later. We're gonna talk about the pros and cons a little bit later at the end of the video. Important thing to know before I get into how this SAVE repayment plan is gonna work is people who are excluded. Now, if you are a parent who borrowed those Parent Plus loans for your student, or not for your student, for your kid to, go to college, those are not eligible for this repayment plan. If you can't afford to make those payments on the Parent Plus loans, you have to go with a different repayment plan of, I think it's like the income contingent repayment plan, right? And you'd have to pay 20% of your discretionary income for like 25 years until it is forgiven. So that's what, 2 to 4 times as much as you would with this plan. But it is what it is. Important thing to know, once you do, let's say if you get to that 25-year mark, that's how all of these repayment plans work. If you get to the 25-year mark and there's still a balance, that's all forgiven. And there's some tax implications, whatever. I'm not really gonna get too deep into that right now. Okay, so how does this new SAVE plan work? How is this gonna save me thousands of dollars and all these promises that you're making? You're telling me Biden's doing this on the back end, whatever. Pause. I'm gonna get into it. Major pause. I'm gonna get into it. Now, this works like any other repayment plan where payments are based on, how much you're making, your household size, and that's readjusted each year, right? They evaluate that every year. I don't know if it's like at the start of the year or if it's like, let's say if I applied October 1st, if it will be October 1st, 2024, 2025, 2026. But they reevaluate this each year and your payment will fluctuate based on that. That's important to note though, because it's gonna be one of the things where I get into later with the pros and cons. Now, like I said, this is better than what we had before, which was the repay plan. Like the revise, about whatever it was, but the repay plan is the old, SAVE is the new. With the repay plan, you had to pay that 10% if you had undergraduate student loans. Same thing with the graduate loans. Now, if you just have the undergrad, you have to pay 5% of your discretionary income, like I said before. Now, the other difference is with the SAVE plan is that graduate loans are now eligible. It's 10% versus a 5%, but now you could also have your graduate loans included in that. And like I said before, if you have both graduate and undergraduate loans, it would be the weighted average of those two. And with inflation going up, everything's getting more expensive. We're getting paid the same. Some of us are even getting paid less. This new payment plan takes into account other basic needs, or extra basic needs, I should say. So it'll lower your discretionary income. Let's say, for example, this isn't exactly what it is, but just use this for example with the repay plan. Before, let's say you would have $1,000 discretionary income under that payment formula. With the save plan, now you have 500, right? I'm just to make the numbers easy, quick math. So now you're paying half of what you would, or your discretionary income is half of what it was, and the percentage that you have to give to it is half. So it's like a double whammy situation. And that's how we end up over time saving you a whole lot of money. And this will be even much better for like low income workers, where you could possibly even qualify for a $0 payment. So if you make a certain amount, all you gotta do is quote unquote pay $0 a month. You keep doing that for 20 years and your loan is forgiven. Now, another thing that is better than the previous plan is this one accounts for interest. One of the issues with the old plan, all these other repayment plans we had, was that you, let's say, pay $100 monthly payment and the interest would be $150. So it's like you're fighting against the interest. You're not really making a dent. If anything, your bill is going up. Like, you had a $20,000 loan and now you got a $25,000 loan. Like, that don't even make sense. What am I making these payments for? So what the education department and Biden's new plan said is, this is what we're gonna do. Okay, if you have a $100 payment and the interest is $150, you pay that $100 and we just gonna cancel the part that you couldn't cover. So that $50, don't even worry about it. That's gone as well. We gonna cover that, and you feel me? That's a huge game changer. One of the critiques that we had with that $10,000, $20,000 forgiveness is that it was like a blanket statement. Okay, now one thing to note is all of this isn't going to go into effect all at once. Some of this isn't going to go into effect till July 2024. Three things that are currently, happening from this repayment plan is the restructuring of that repayment formula, right? So that's shielding more of that discretionary income. So like the example of what I was given before on the repayment or repay plan was $1,000, now it might be $500. And ultimately, that's just going to lower your payments even more. If you're not able to cover that interest, like I said, that's already in effect. And now even married borrowers who file separately won't have to include their spouse's income in the formula to calculate that monthly payment. So, hey, that's a W for love, I guess. One of the notable things that won't take effect until next year is that slashing of the 10% discretionary to 5% on the undergraduate student loans. Now that we've gotten that out the way, if you're interested in signing up for the SAVE plan, you can go to studentaid.gov/save. Now, if you're already signed up for the repay plan, you don't have to worry about anything. You'll be automatically transferred into the SAVE plan. Your payments will adjust accordingly, etc., etc. And if you're in some other kind of income-driven repayment plan, it's more than fine for you to transfer into the SAVE plan, and you won't lose any time. So if you've been making your payments for 10 years, all of that's gonna count. All of that's gonna count. We bringing it with us. We good. We'll be okay. We'll be saving money. Now, I do want to end this video off by saying this plan will not be the best option all the time. Everything is on a case-by-case basis, and it will be a great option for most people. There's a loan simulator tool that I'll link down below that's on the federalstudentaid.gov website. You can put your information in, and this is going to give you a better idea of how everything would pan out in your specific situation, right? So it'll show you like how it would look if you were under this plan, if you were under the standard plan, etc., etc. Okay, now I want to get into those cons. Like I said, this isn't for everyone. I want to get into those cons. We just talked about all the great things about the plan. Since this is an income-driven repayment plan, emphasis on the income-driven, the higher your income, the higher your payment will be. And since we have to recertify every year, whenever you get a raise, You see where I'm going with this? It's just gonna keep tacking and tacking and tacking. And although it is capped at 5% or 10% depending on your situation or somewhere in between there, it might be higher than what you would have liked to be paying. Let's say you start off with a $60,000 job, right? And over these next few years, your price start going up. You get in certifications, you got experience, and whatever, and now you're making 120. You feel me? So now your payment done doubled. Oh, this might help you pay your debt off faster. For me personally, I like some sense of stability, knowing that, hey, it's just gonna be $200 a month for the next 10 years, rather than, oh, it's $200 this year, next year is $300, the next year is $350, and then the next year is $300 again, and now we just fluctuating back and forth. I'd rather just know I'm paying $200 flat for a set amount of time, and that's that. And okay, I'll pull this stat right here. The average starting debt balance coming out of college, undergrad, is like $27,000. It's a little bit under that, but it's about $27,000, right? If you're supposed to just stay on the standard repayment plan, plain Jane, you'd be paying about $270 a month. Cool. And you'd have your loans paid after 10 years or 120 payments, right? 12 months times 10, 120. If you are on the save plan now, you'd have to make $65,000 or less to qualify for that same $272. And as your income goes up, like I said, your payments are going to go up, and you'll most likely end up paying off your loan faster. And although that's great, the point of these income-driven repayment plans is to, not the point, but one of the major benefits is to have your debt forgiven. You know what I'm saying? If I'm just keeping it real, is to have your debt forgiven. And so what's the sense in kicking up my payments each year to pay it off faster? Like, I ain't really want to give you all the money. I was trying to do the least amount possible so y'all could take care of the rest. Moral of the story, the higher your loan balance, the more likely something like this will be good for you or any other repayment plans. If you're willing to make payments for 20 or 25 years for your debt to be forgiven. But depending on your income, other expenses, and your overall situation, that might not be feasible, might not really make sense for you. But that's all I got for the video. If you enjoyed, you learned something, you got some value out of this, hit that like button, drop a comment down below, and let me know what you think about these saving payment plans, because it's a little bit interesting. Like, yeah, it benefit people, but it's not, personally, me, the situation I'm in, this isn't conducive to me. I would have rather just gotten like $10,000 to $20,000 forgiven, but it is what it is. I'm gonna catch y'all later.